You also lead us right into what's going to be a fascinating quarterback offseason again here, Rich. You mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo, who is set to become a free agent, had another injury, played, of course, in that very similar system, so it would be a natural fit. Tom Brady, we don't know 100%. As of a couple of weeks ago, all options were still on the table in terms of playing, going back to Tampa, going elsewhere, maybe retiring. Lamar is unsigned in Baltimore. Second consecutive year, he is not available down the stretch as the Ravens see a once promising season. Has not fully slipped away, but it is beginning to if you can't get a win this weekend against the Falcons. You've got the Daniel Jones situation with the Giants. Does he get tagged? Is it a short-term type of an extension? Baker Mayfield is a free agent. Geno Smith is a free agent. Taylor Heinicke is a free agent. Andy Dalton, who, according to Pro Football Focus, is one of the highest-rated passers in the NFL. He's also set to become a free agent. Ryan Tannehill has no guarantees left on his contract. Neither does Jared Goff, who's playing at a high level. What happens? What do the Broncos do to fix Russell Wilson? There's so many questions, and there's so many teams with unsettled situations. And obviously this, unlike this past year, is regarded as a stronger quarterback class in the draft. There are a lot of moving pieces here, Rich. And it's one thing to say, and I understand where fans say it, well, you got to move on from Zach Wilson. Okay, to what? What are you bringing in? No. What are you going to do to actually solidify the situation on a team that, and I read off the ages earlier, the Jets have a really nice young core. It just appears at this point, the guy that they drafted number 2 overall to play the most important position is not playing like a number 2 overall pick.
No, I know, and there's more draft choices to come, and and you've talked about some fascinating, situations, especially since Seattle has a very high draft choice, especially since Detroit will have a very high draft choice. That these are teams that have questions right in front of them. Do they stick with their veteran, or do they go young? And the Jets' question is, do we stay with our young and see if he can develop, or do we go veteran? And that's the question. I don't know the answer to it. My immediate choice would be for the Jets to go get that generationally talented kid in the draft and have lightning strike and get a lottery ticket, just like Kansas City got, just like New England got years ago with Brady, just like the Chargers appear to have with Justin Herbert if they can get their rest of their team together. Like, that's the preference. And I don't think that's going to be bestowed upon the Jets in this year's draft, although one never knows, as the Niners are showing with the right system, all you need is the last pick in the draft. So the short answer is I don't know. The concept of Derek Carr being available is fascinating to me, although we spoke to Josh McDaniels on a Zoom last night. And, coaches will definitely, in these production meetings, give you a sense, give you a general sense of how they feel about something without saying the words. He really does like Derek Carr. I mean, he really does like what he says, his aggressiveness, that when he plays aggressive is when they perform very well. And he's also talking about how excited he is that Carr, has this connection with Adams, who, by the way, I mean, talk about gushing. When he talked about Devontae Adams, he went off the charts about him. Saying, I've been with Moss, I've been with Gronk, this is exactly the same guy, and Brady. So I think they kind of dig that they got Carr and Adams together and Waller, and, now that Renfro is back, they do dig what they have there. I'm not so sure they're going to just pop him free and let's go with 46-year-old Tom Brady. I didn't get that sense. Obviously there's so much between now and the moments we're talking about, combine and draft. But you do have to, for some teams, start putting these pieces together. And the Jets are, unfortunately, after having such a promising first half of the season, they're now in that position of how do they put the pieces together and sensing what's going to go on out there. And you do have to factor in as well that Jimmy G doesn't finish seasons on occasion. So you got to take those all into account. And maybe Mike White is the guy. I don't know, but it's going to be a fascinating offseason, unfortunately, for the Jets. It starts now, the Friday before Christmas.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.